I hope everyone's doing well. I wanted to talk about the importance of knowing who you are personally, inside and outside of the workplace. So, of course, you have that saying that it's good to know who you are, or to be or not to be. You heard that before too. But the importance of knowing who you are, it actually allows you to see if your values and your ideas and the things that are important to you actually lines up with a company or a position that you're applying for. So anytime you're at an interview, it's good to ask questions, especially those who are being interviewed by those who will be your actual management or your supervisor or your team lead. Ask those questions, because an interview is supposed to be a two-way conversation. It's not just them interviewing you for a role. You're actually interviewing them to figure out if the work environment, their value system, and their culture actually aligns with you. So knowing who you are and understanding what's important to you will allow you to make a good decision on whether or not you want to accept that role, let alone that job offer. Now, of course, I know there's different situations where if you're experiencing job loss, you just need to find income. That's understandable. But even when you're experiencing job loss and you're looking for a new job, or you're going from one position to a possible another position, make sure that you understand what your values are and understanding how you can see yourself develop into the employee professionally and personally at that role. Now, a lot of roles some people think are not challenging. Some roles are very challenging. It's going to show you more so than anything else regarding what your talents and your gifts are, what your strengths are, and what things that you may need to overcome in order for you to be successful. So look at it as a learning opportunity of growth professionally and personally also, because you're choosing a role that you believe that you're qualified for, that you can succeed in, develop in, and grow into also. Now, some people are really stuck on job titles. To be honest, I understand that, because of course when you're doing your resume, you have to put the job title or the position that you worked for. But I look outside of the job title, because the job title says what you are doing at the job, but you're actually defining the job itself. You're defining that role and understanding when someone says so and so is this job title, they'll associate you with not only the role but who you are too. For example, I was an HR assistant and I worked for the state of Texas. At that time, yes, I performed all the administrative tasks. I did everything that was according to the job description. But I defined that role by how I delivered information. I defined that role by how I interacted with the customer, how I relayed the information for internal and external customers, how I was able to listen and understand their concerns and their questions and be able to make sure they were well taken care of. I didn't rush them on the phone or even on email. I made sure that I was very attentive to what their needs were and their concerns were. So yes, it was an HR assistant role, but I put my own type of, a seasoning to it, for word's sake. So when people would actually call and they would speak to me or they would communicate with me via email, they understood that they were getting the time and the attention that they needed. So yes, the role was an HR assistant, but I defined that role based on the interaction from the customer and exceeded the expectations. So when someone is in a role, regardless it's a customer service position, management position, regardless of the role itself, you are able to not only be proficient and effective in the tasks and duties that you do, but you're able to do it the way that reflects not only yourself, but the company too. So to make sure that I made sure that the company was well received and looked in a certain way professionally, and by providing that customer service experience for them, but they also saw how I operated as an HR assistant, where they'll say, hey, if you leave, what's going to happen? Well, you're not going to get the same level of customer service that I provided. But that's because I did something different in that role. So just knowing who you are and how you handle things and how you take care of things, and how you empathize and sympathize with others makes a difference, regardless of what role it is, whether it's big or small. And believe me, people take notice when certain people leave certain companies and they do things. They can see, the customers sometimes can see the difference in it, because we're not clones of each other. Everyone's different, and it's your difference that actually makes a difference too. So yes, there were 4 HR assistants. I stood out not only because of who I am, but how I made sure things were taken care of. I made sure I was very authentic, I was very direct, and I extended the helping hand more than what the person or the customer even expected of me. So when things would come back to my supervisor saying, hey, Tiffany did an awesome job regarding this and the other, they will be able to say a specific thing as to what made their experience with me different from someone else. It's not to downplay what someone else would do. It's just the way I handled things that was more effective for them. So, yeah, so you can work different roles in different ways and be able to put that's that ingredient of yourself into it, so to speak. So I hope it makes sense. But yeah, but it's just certain things that I would do and say that will actually elevate a corporation or a company, that when if I left the company, it wasn't like they didn't have people that were capable of doing it. It's just the way I did things was what was missing. So yeah, so make sure you value yourself and know who you are and understand what gifts and talents that you have. So when you're doing an interview and they ask you, why would you be a good fit for this role, you can let them know the little things that you do that actually uplifts the company or organization. Sometimes in interviews, I let them know, like, yes, I believe in a sufficient and proficient support system at work. And I don't mind being a support system to my colleagues. I make sure if they have any questions that they're needing or they need clarity of, I make sure that I'm able to assist them. If I'm not able to assist them, I know who to refer them to so they can get the assistance they need to help. If they're just needing an extra person just to look and just to see and make sure they're not missing anything, because sometimes it's a self-confidence thing. People are not very confident in the roles that they are in. So being that support system makes a difference too for a colleague. So if someone says, how are you a team member? What makes you a good fit for the role? Let them know about how you believe in a good support system. That if there's not a support system available, you don't mind becoming a support system. Because at the end of the day, it costs a lot more money to actually replace a good employee versus hiring someone else. And also, too, like I said before, your difference makes a difference. It really does. So there's a lot of roles that people say, oh, it's not that much of a serious job. They don't take it seriously, but people can see if you do take what you do seriously or not by how you handle things. And there's nothing wrong with understanding that you're having something or that you're operating in an area of a company and not take it lightly. When some people say, oh, you take your job too seriously, that's okay, because what you're doing is trying to learn it so you can be efficient and proficient in it, and you're making sure that you're able to take care of the company based on the tasks that they are assigning you to do, and meanwhile making sure that you're offering that uniqueness that sometimes that actually makes the difference. So stay encouraged, know who you are. And even if you're in the process of finding who you are and knowing who you are at a different role, that's okay too. You have professional development that should be offered at a company. Most companies do offer that. If not, it's okay to pick up with a book or to talk with someone in your support system, like a friend or a family member, to figure out what can you do to develop in the best version of yourself inside and outside of work, because the job doesn't really define you. You define the job. So I hope that this empowers you and encourages you to be your complete version of yourself, flaws and all. No one's perfect, but it's okay to make progress. progress does help you with your success, okay? So those who are working jobs and you're feeling stagnant, see about doing some type of career development or taking some trainings that may be offered by the company to see that you can actually develop even more within your company too, because that sometimes you just need a challenge if you're feeling stagnant. Those who are figuring things out, to finding out who you are, so that you're not easily swayed on any and everything at work, especially when there's work drama going on. It's good to be able to talk to a counselor, a therapist. Nothing wrong with that. You can go to therapy and counseling regarding work-related issues. It doesn't always have to be the HR department. And then just link up with someone to help you have that strategy that you need to go ahead and navigate through those various workplace issues. So yes, definitely understand that you define the job. The job doesn't define you. Have an awesome week. Take care.